What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports here at the voice of college football. If you're an Auburn fan, please subscribe to our Auburn channel. If you're an SEC fan, please subscribe to our SEC channel. We're going to give you a very early projected record here for the Auburn Tigers. Before we get into 2022, let's look back at 2021. Here were the projections from 2021. You see Auburn finishing 6-6. Our projection was 7-5 for this team. Change the South Carolina game or the Mississippi State game, this team could have easily gone 7-5. But I actually did predict them to go 6-6. And if you've been following me throughout the last several years, I have correctly predicted Auburn's record every year except for one. And again, if you follow me, you know that I am an Auburn fan. But so I had them at 6-6, but they were really probably better than I expected them to be, even though the record came out the same, at least early in the year. I know things kind of fell apart late, but then again, you saw the potential against Alabama. But they did finish 6-6. The FBI had them at 6.9 and 5.2, so right around 7-5. The over/under was at 7, so you had to go 7-5 or 6-6 is the most likely record. So I think Auburn was pretty much what most people expected. 6-6, 7-5 type team, and they did finish 6-6. And like I said, could have very easily been 7-5. Let's look now ahead to 2022. Here's the schedule. This is the scale that we use. If it's a 50-50 game, games where I think the spread will be 4 points or less, we'll keep it in the white. Less than 20%, over 80%, those are pretty much guaranteed wins or losses, where I think the spread will be more than 2 touchdowns. 20-29, 71-80, those are games where I think the spread will be double digits, 10 to 14 points, kind of in that range. And then 30-39, 61-70%, games where I think the spread will be about a touchdown, 6, 7, 8 points, kind of in that range. So we start with the easy wins. And I'm hesitant to put all of these games in the green, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. Mercer, San Jose State, and Western Kentucky. Now, Mercer's close to 100%. San Jose State's probably close to 90 to 95%. Western Kentucky is closer to that 80% number. And this is a dangerous team. I was very close to putting this game in the blue. They do lose their starting quarterback. I had some other guys leave and transfer, so I don't think they're going to be quite as good as they were last season. But this is a dangerous team, especially to play late in the year between Texas A&M and Alabama. So that's not a guaranteed win, but I think it's a little bit over 80% for Auburn, and we will put that game in the green. We got a couple of red games, Georgia and Alabama. I know you got rivalries here. The Iron Bowl seems like it's a lot of times close, even when Auburn's down. But on the road this year against this Alabama team, I just don't see it happening. I don't see this game being all that close. Same thing with Georgia. Auburn has had a hard time really playing with Georgia at all the last few years. So I don't see that changing this year. Nothing jumps out to me on this Auburn team to where I think they're going to be a whole lot better than they were last year. They might improve some, but they're not going to be a top 10 caliber team in my opinion. Georgia and Alabama are top 5 caliber teams, maybe top 2, top 3 teams. So yeah, I don't see on the road really Auburn having much of a chance in those 2 games. I do think that they have a good chance against Missouri. I think they'll be about a touchdown favorite in this game. It's a home game. Missouri figures to be down towards the bottom of the SEC East this year. And so I think that's a game that Auburn can win, not a guaranteed win. Again, spread I think will be around a touchdown, but they should be the favorite in that matchup. And then 3 games where I think they'll be about a touchdown underdog. You got Ole Miss on the road, Arkansas, and Texas A&M. Ole Miss on the road, high-powered offense. I've been looking at this Ole Miss team. I think this is going to be a top 10, 15 type team again this year. They've done a nice job of filling their roster with some transfers. On the road, I think Ole Miss will be clearly a favorite in this game. Arkansas is tough for me. Auburn did beat them last year, plus it's a home game. Jordan-Hare's a very tough place to play. I was back and forth. Should this be a 50-50 game? Should this be in this 30 to 39% range? And I just look at the fact that I think Arkansas is going to be a preseason top 15 team. Auburn probably won't be a top 25 team. I don't think they'll be a top 25 team. And because of that, kind of with the rules that we use, I'm going to put this in the yellow. But I do think Auburn has a chance in this game. Again, yellow does not mean automatic loss by any means. They'll have a good chance, but I do think they'll be an underdog. And then Texas A&M, kind of in that same category. A little bit easier to put Texas A&M in the yellow because they're more like a top 10 team preseason, maybe top 5. Even though it's at home, I think A&M clearly the more talented team, and so that one's closer to 30%, whereas Arkansas is closer to 39%. But I do think that all 3 of those games would fit in this yellow range, where Auburn will be about a touchdown underdog, even though Arkansas and Texas A&M are both at home. And then these other 3 games, I think that's what's going to make or break the season for Auburn. Penn State at home, LSU at home, Mississippi State on the road. Penn State, it was a close game last year. It's at home this year for Auburn. Penn State, I don't see anything. They're kind of like Auburn. I don't see anything that makes me think they're going to be a lot better this year. And so I think that is a winnable game for Auburn, especially playing at home. They beat LSU last year, but LSU's a different team this year. New coaching staff, a ton of transfers. Not really sure what to expect from this team. I think LSU is the more talented team, but Auburn playing at home, that's going to help them out. And I think that is a 50-50 game, mostly just because of that home field advantage. And then Mississippi State, I think Mississippi State and Auburn are going to be in a battle, really, at the bottom of the SEC West. That doesn't mean that these are going to be terrible teams. The SEC West is just absolutely loaded. And that could be a battle where the loser actually finishes in last place in the standings, potentially. That's a huge game, I think, for both teams. So when you look at this schedule, you look at the projections here, you've got 3 easy wins. If they beat Missouri, that's 4 wins. Then you're going to have to either win 2 of the 3 50-50 games or win 1 of those 3 and then steal 1 of these games in the yellow just to get to a bowl game. And that's kind of what the projection would suggest. That would put them at 6-6. If you change Arkansas to a 50-50 game, it does not change the projection. They still would be projected to go 6-6. It would be a little bit closer to 7-5, but still I think it was like 6.3 wins or something like that. So it would still round down to 6-6. So a fair projection here, I think, for Auburn, 6-6. I've seen some other projections out there, and it seems to line up with what we've got here. So not a prediction, and again, this is not my official prediction. Like I said, I've been very accurate on predicting this team, so I don't want to mistake this for an actual prediction. We'll be doing predictions here in a couple of months, but projection for Auburn in 2022, 6-6. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Give me your thoughts down in the comments below.